Hey, good evening, folks. How's it going? Your host, Mr. Unspeakable here. Welcome to just another conversation. Of course, nobody's here yet, but maybe there will be some people. I hope. Cheers to that. Trying to think about what is going to be a story tonight. Like I said, I don't have a script prepared, but I sure do have a lot of stories. Most of them are pretty true. Just to figure out where does life really lead? Really, anybody. It's funny how well, I wouldn't say it's funny, but it's very mesmerizing and just crazy when you think about just the birth as whole. I think about it sometimes. When you think about being born and what your purpose in the world is. And I gotta say, I've never really quite understood, I guess, where, how, when, why. I guess these are all the questions. How? In fact, the really question I want to raise, I want to ask, why don't we not remember? I always found this fascinating. I could never really answer this question. I don't know if the question is stupid or revelating or is it how they kind of say encouraging or is it just plain out stupid? I don't think there's a stupid question. I really don't. I was always told personally that to always ask if I don't understand something or I don't know something. Um, and I was always like that. Like if I have a job I do and I work at the I don't know factory somewhere or convenience store, I would rather ask questions if I don't understand something fully. But I will come back to it later and say that I will connect that with what I was going to ask, and that is why don't you really remember after a certain point when after we were born? I don't know. Let's say a certain point. I can say after 4 years old, after 5 years old, 6 years old. People say I can remember as far as I can. People say as far as I remember, as far as I can remember. There's like a famous saying. Now, how far is that, really, when you really go back? People have memories from, when they were younger. And my question has always been, I guess, what is that point in your life after you're born to when you say when you're elderly, later in your 40s or 50s or 60s, when you're 90, you ask yourself a question, what is that time, that age when you're little, up until you can remember things? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that time when you're little? Are you 4? Can you remember all up until you're 4? Can you remember certain lives in your lifetime when you're 2 or even 3? How far does our memories how far are our memories able to retract our past? And it's always been fascinating. I've seen that question somewhere a while back in a book, and I was never able to answer that question. Like, I think I can remember as far as I was probably 12, maybe as far as maybe 9 years old. Some people claim that they can remember all the, some people claim, crazy ass fucking people claim that they can remember all the way till their birth. I can't fucking claim the day when I came out of my mother's vagina, I guess. The day when I was born. I really can't remember the day. There's people that I know personally who claim that. Of course, who I haven't seen in a whole ass fucking time, if you know what I mean. They're a little too fucking weird for me, and I think I'm a little weird. And there's weirdos out there, and that's fine. Um, I would rather deal with weird. Hey, I would rather deal with weird than guess uh, stupid or careless or. And like I said, the question of the day is how far back can you remember? Hey, I'm doing okay. How are you? Nice to have you, man. Nice to have you. Thank you for stopping by. My day's been good. How about you? Great. That's just great. You know, I think health and feeling good is something that people take for granted. Everybody in today's world is obsessed with money. Oh, that's great. Good for you. Good for you, Pinky. Great. Hey, how's it going, Doctor? Thank you guys for stopping by, man. If you want to subscribe and comment, relax, comment, tell me what's bothering you, what's not bothering you. If there's something bothering you, if something you want to get off your chest, go ahead. Yeah. Well, so yeah, I guess people, like I said, the health is something, and feeling good. And you know what? Well, okay, I'll go as far as back as marriage counseling, which I've had one time in my life. And I will tell you, it was rather interesting because this man, when I walked into an office of a man who does marriage counseling, I have underestimated him right off the bat. Who am I? I'm a tough motherfucker. I walk in there with my wife and my wife, ex-wife, I guess. But at the time, this man, I thought he can fix all my fucking problems. Excuse my language. And yeah, do that. Thank you. That'd be great, Pinky. Go ahead. I appreciate it. Um, so I'm walking into the office. I'm seeing this guy is rather just barely over 5 feet tall, little beard, glasses in this office. He's kind of like a psychiatrist, but also because I've seen him before for my own like psychotic problems. I agree. I think school should be number one. I've where I come from. You won't even believe how important school is. Now you're talking the United States of America. Up well, up till your eighth grade, you finish high school. I agree with all that. But I'm not really big into college, if you know what I mean. Going to college in this country is like going straight into freaking hell of debt. You see what I mean? Like, to me, I see United States has not developed their educational system to quite fit the European. I mean, and I don't know why they would either do that, even do that. I'm just saying, I feel like European educational system is a little bit ahead of the United States educational system. Listen to this. Some of the very first things I've noticed when I came to the United States in the 90s. I had walked into the doctor's office and there's this child with his mother and father, and this child straight up went nuts on his mother, and I didn't even speak English at the time. And this kid starts spitting at his dad and hitting his mother and saying F word, F you, I want this toy. And then he spits at his mother again. This little kid, he must have been like 4 years old. And I'm like, I'm standing there and I'm a refugee. And I'm like, well, what am I witnessing? If I did this when I was a kid, I tell you what, man, I would remember that smack for the rest of my life. And I asked myself a question: why are the kids allowed to do stuff like that to their parents in this country? And it hasn't changed. But that's not why I'm here to comment on this. I was talking about how far can you remember? Because people say, well, I can remember this for as long as I can remember, right? Well, what is that? When? Can you remember something until you're 8, 7 years old, 6 years old? Why is it that after we were born, we forget everything up until a certain age, and then after their age, we can remember almost everything. But we really can't remember first, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, maybe years of our life. Yes, and if you, the thing is this, it's a really sensitive subject. Like if you spank your child here, you're a terrorist. They turn you into this like a really bad parent. They think they think you're a kid beater, and you know you go to freaking prison. They come and lock you up and treat you like you're a monster. Hey, I have two boys, both are, you know, one's 20 and the other one's 7. I've never touched my kid ever in my life. Like I've gotten close in their face and said, hey, listen, don't f with me, do this. I'm telling you, you know, stuff like that. I've never touched my child. I never hit my child. Never had a reason to. And but there's also this famous saying that also comes from certain parts of the Europe, which says beating. I get that's what they say down in Eastern Europe. That's not something I came up with. Okay, now I don't really believe in this. I believe in a softer version of this. What I'm going to say to you, but I don't believe in this in a version of harsher version of what I'm about to say. So they say the beatings have come has well no beatings have what come from heavens or something like that. Of beating comes from heavens or something like that weird, right? Meaning that people can really learn easily through beating. You know, like I'm not talking about beating someone senseless for no reason. I'm talking about like a, you know, if your child is spitting at you and telling you to f yourself, yeah, you spank it. You know, you do something. Don't just stand there and let your child spit at you and tell you to f off. Especially not a 40-year-old or 5-year-old. So, but anyways, that's when I was about. I had a story earlier I was going to talk about what does it mean. And I've, like I said, I heard this from a marriage counselor years ago that I went to. Like I said, this guy was barely over 5 feet tall. Um, Glasses. I totally underestimated this marriage counselor I went to. But this man has said one word to me, and that I remember for till day to day, and it was been 15 years. he said to me, all you guys gotta do to fix your marriage is give each other a hug every day. That's all you gotta do. One hug. It doesn't matter if you are in the shittiest fucking mood, or it doesn't matter if she is in the crappiest mood. You just do it. Just hug, chill, in that hug, kind of in that moment. Understand what that moment is about. Like if you hug someone once a day in your family, especially your spouse, somebody you're married to, if you want to fix your marriage, and that's what I was told. And I honestly didn't believe that power of a hug can be so intoxicating. And like after I got that advice from this psychiatrist or marriage counselor, or whatever he was, we I had an amazing marriage for a long time after that, just because of that one hug a day. We kind of practiced that one hug a day thing, and it actually worked out. It worked out for a while, and then one of us kind of fell at the edge and didn't really continue. Although I don't know if I'm just getting too old for certain things. My grandma and my aunt is basically my niece. Well, no, you don't need to. Grandparents are really. If I was to listen, if I was one of those really busy people, uh, like I said, I used to live in New York, and there's a lot of busy people there that are constantly on the go. Like people in the big cities are constantly on the go. Now, if I was to have someone raise my children when I'm not at home, it would probably be grandparents. Those are the people that I would always trust to raise my parents. Like my grandmother, I wish I've seen her as much as I wanted to, but I couldn't. The war happened, and I've lost everything just overnight. But every time I was around my grandma, I felt like I was learning something new. Uh, I'm telling you, grandparents are the best at raising children. Most of them are, anyways. Every time you know, I would spend my summertime with my grandparents, and when I was, in my teens, and I remember my grandmother teaching me how to read. You know, I mean, she was a teacher. She spoke fluently French, German, uh, I believe those two, and she also taught math. So very smart woman. Lived up until her 90s, and although my mother doesn't have much positive to say about my grandmother, but on my dad's side, I would say. But to me, she was always great. My grandmother was always great to me. Both my mother's side, my father's side. But anyways, my question is, if someone can answer me, why is it that we cannot remember anything up until like after we're like 6 or 5? Is it because our brain is not developed enough, or what happens that we only can remember up to a certain point? And the power of a hug. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Do Sliva? Do Sliva. Cheers to Sliva. Thanks for joining. Got something get off of your chest? Go ahead. I'm listening. I got a lot to get off my chest. I got plenty, my friends. This is the thing. I come up here and I talk live, and I just don't care whether I have a scripted plan. I have nothing scripted. My life has never been scripted. There's people out there that their whole life is scripted. Maybe my life should have been freaking scripted. Maybe if that happened in my life, if I had everything according to a plan, maybe everything would have been better. But I can't say that I'm unhappy. There's some shitty days, just like all with everything else. But some people have amazing lives because they're scripted. Everything is they know everything what they're gonna do day ahead. I guess I just can't do that. What do you mean? Like grandparents hit you? Where did the Silva go? Come on, there's Silva. You got something to say? Come on, guys, say something, man. What the hell? Why am I always the one that talking here? Anybody's got something to say about one hug a day? Any comments? I'm gonna read some poetry here in a second. Thanks. Well, uh, I'm also gonna do some. Since I'm a writer and a poet, I'm gonna do some. I'm gonna read some poetry. I know it sounds boring, but there's some stuff I want to read. Probably gonna be doing that in a little bit. But yeah, there are some things that this country is gonna. It's gonna take another 100 years or more for, I would say, you see, English is not my native language. It's my second language, my third language, actually, maybe even my fourth. But I think the tradition is something that lacks in this country. It really is. I think tradition is what lacks because tradition is what curates you. It's like if you're a traditionally raised person, I think everybody's traditionally raised in a way when you're growing up when you're younger. When you're younger, you're raised traditionally. Now, when you cross a certain age, you're not freaking traditional anymore. You are you. Now, you can stay in that tradition and practice it until you die, which I don't think it's a bad idea. Or you can back out and do what you want by your rules, however you script your own life. I wish, you see, good for me, it was good because I grew up with my tradition. And it's really hard to adapt to other tradition like this one. America doesn't really have tradition, you know what I'm saying, in a real sense of tradition speaking, because it's just barely. When was the 1776? Right? Is that when the United States was the, what do you call it? It's like in the signed that George Washington signed 1770. Anyway, 1776. So you think about now, that's about 250 something years old. This country, not even 300 years old. You can't have a real our tradition in a country that's not even 300 years old. There's not really that much tradition there, and I think it's important to have it. So if your country, if you're growing up in a country that has only 250 years of tradition or over, like this country is, then if you're coming from traditions like Chinese or Japanese, or you're coming from traditions like Eastern Europe, like Syria, Afghanistan, Turkey, Iraq, those countries there, Eastern Europe, like Yugoslavia, Bosnia, uh, Serbia, Croatia, down along the coast of Croatia. If you come from that kind of tradition, then I believe you are, for the most part, going to understand most people, if you know what I mean. And I would blame tradition on every human failure. I believe that tradition is what failed this country. A lack of tradition. It's what failed all of us here. I don't understand this tradition at all. I've been here 30 years and I still don't I still don't understand what in the heck is going on in this country. Why it just it just feels like it's not functioning properly. Like it's not working for people. It's not. Everything seems corporate. Everything seems pre-scripted, pre-written, pre-washed. Fucking. I mean, just everything just seems very unhealthy. You can't drink the water out of the sink. I mean, I couldn't believe when I came here in the '90s that, and I'm like, I drink sink water. Like, well, we got bottled water. I was like, I've never in my life drank a fucking bottled water until I came here. I don't understand why, but I'm doing it. I guess because everybody else is doing it. Because I guess that I'm hearing stories that someone else has put in my head that there's a dirty water and then pipes have lead in it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when we were kids, I remember I'd go to a soccer game and I will be sweating and probably fell in the fucking mud and I'm covered in mud and sweat. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry, and I go home and I just go straight to the fucking sink and fill up my cup and I just drink it because the water was so good where I come from. I mean, my town was up in the mountains. We got really nice clean water. Water always tasted good over there. I mean, I didn't even know what the fuck soda was until I got here. I never even drank Coca Cola when I was younger until when I got here. So I remember coming to the United States in the '90s, and I stayed with one of my cousins, my second or third knee cousin. And I was in high school at the time. I remember I went to high school in New Jersey. I went to high school in New Jersey, and I remember in Bergen County, Bergenfield, and it was called the Bergen High. I think it's still there, Bergen High, New Jersey, Bergenfield. But anyways, um, it was a great school. But I remember since I was a soccer player when I was younger, and the American coach, I couldn't really speak to him because I wasn't really speaking English at the time. And he wanted to tell me something. He's like, "Hey, you want to play football?" And I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Like, he saw this tall dude, quick, fast, played soccer. He goes like, yeah, man, we're gonna do a physical. I want to get you to play for high school. You seem like you'd be a really good quarterback, and you're smart. I was like, I'm thinking that's what he. It seemed like that's what he was saying to me. But if I stayed in that school in New Jersey and I stuck to football, maybe I would have been a fucking football star. Who the fuck knows? But the thing is this: when you're a refugee, man, and you go and you live, and and somebody drops you off in the middle of JFK, and you got nothing but $10 in your pocket. And my father at that time, he had me and my brother and my mother, and we had promises from people that said, "Hey, even though you have $10 in your pocket and you got nothing, we got you a place to stay, but you have to do this for free. You got to do this for free. You got to help us with this. You got to take trash out. You got to fucking, it was always like, we seemed always like almost like slavery, man. We were thankful for what we were given. And I remember working for New York Parks of New York in 1994, and I was receiving food stamps then. And I still think I got a receipt somewhere. I worked for Parks of New York, so we would receive food stamps. It was kind of like a setup kind of like now, kind of like what Trump's going on right now, which I don't agree with. I agree that people should work, but I don't think that you should force someone to work for something like food stamps. But anyways, I'm not here to do politics. I don't like politics. But I did do that when I was in my teens, 17, 18, 19. I worked there. Fucking Peter Steele for Type of Negative worked there at that time. It was a park in New York, right by Shea Stadium there. But I just remember that those were great fucking times. I mean, I have to say, um, I can't regret living in New York in the 90s as a refugee, as someone that didn't speak English at all. A little bit. I knew, like, hey, how are you? Fine, shit like that, like easy stuff. But I never was able to quite connect. I was never able to quite connect with the American tradition. And when you're a refugee and you go to some other country and you live there 30 years, like I've been living 30 plus years in the United States, legally, I've been legal since day one. I remember waiting in line in immigration in New York in 1994, and you couldn't get papers right away. You had to be legal. Someone had to guarantee they're gonna take care of you before you come to US. And then when I came to US, there were people that were helping us. We had all legal papers, but you had to be here 2 to 3 years before you can even apply for a green card. And then you go after 2 years, you go apply for a green card, and you have to wait for fucking hours. I waited like anywhere between 6 to 10 hours each day. And if you don't make it to the window, even though there's like a couple people ahead of you, boom, you're out all the way to the beginning of the line. And there will be like hundreds of people every day. I remember those days, man. But coming to United States with zero money in your pocket, I remember my father. Man, I feel bad for that. I feel bad for that man. My father was put through hell, man. When he had to come here with $10 in his pocket, bringing up me and my brother and my mother. And that was just horrifying to me, man. Like that man, I respect him forever. He was a great father, raised us with literally with nothing, especially when we first got here. The first couple of years was rough. I mean, I worked for food stamps for it was like $270, I believe, a month. We were getting $270 a month, and I worked every day for that, like from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. I think I worked like 10 to 12 hour days for that $300 check a month, which equals out to maybe I don't know $500 or $600 a month now. You know, and back then I was like, all right, seems fair. You give us food stamps, we work in exchange. Then it kind of made sense. Now it just doesn't. It really doesn't. It is really hard to find work nowadays, especially when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s. Nobody wants you, especially if you're in debt. Now you can't even buy a house or rent a place that you can't rent a place now. You have to have like an 800 credit score or something really crazy like that. And even if you are in a state like Michigan where everything's supposed to be cheaper, even places here now, like the shittiest apartment here is 650 a month, and that's not even including everything else. You're paying 12 to $1,300 here for a studio or one bedroom apartment. So But back in the 90s, you could have one job and you can support you and someone else and pay all the bills. Now you can't even support yourself. You can have a fucking job now, 40 hours a week and make 16, $17 an hour. You can bust your ass and still barely afford the cost of living and everything else. There's so there's so fucking much that needs to change in this country. So much needs to change in this country. It is, and I'm not talking about politics. Just the way you it just comes from the roots. It's like the roots are rotted, and you just need to get those roots, fix the roots, and then everything will start to grow the way it's supposed to. People are kind of like plants, man. Like if you're a plant, you got a bad roots, you plant it somewhere else, or people do the same thing. We move to places when we feel like we're gonna live better lives. You live a life that you don't think it's a life that you wanted to live. You feel like it's someone else's fault that you're in the place that you are. But then you come to a realization, yes, someone did bring you to US, but it's your job to make something out of yourself. You see, I've missed out on that chance. Anyways, well, guys, thank you so much. I want to thank all my peeps that joined me tonight. Let's see. I want to thank Pinky. Thank you so much. If you did subscribe, thank you. Anyways, thank you, Doctor 23. Thank you, Divas Live. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. I appreciate you. So, this will be the end of Unscripted episode 4 of Just Another Conversation. I will see you guys later. Thank you to those that have listened. I appreciate you very, very much, man. Love you guys. Stay safe. Take care of each other. And we'll see you in the next episode, which will be tomorrow. I will try to show up before midnight. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to Pinky. Thanks to the Sleva. Thank you to all of you who have been here tonight. And we'll talk about some more stuff tomorrow. Thank you all. And we'll see you again. I'm your host, Mr. Unspeakable. We'll see you.